If you ever live in Perth, which is known outside of Australia as one of the, if not the, most isolated cities on planet Earth, you might notice the length between Perth and Fremantle by either car or train, which takes noticeably longer than 20 minutes to get to the two cities. When you're living south of the river and live at least in the Coburn area or the Kwinana area, you probably get the feeling that the distance and time between Perth and Fremantle feels pretty similar, to the point where you wonder if the two cities are close by at first glance. Well, the truth is that Perth to Fremantle, going on a completely straight line, is 15 kilometers long, and by the shortest length on road is 19 kilometers long, with the cost of a longer length. Ever conflicted on what the fastest route is? Well, in the first episode of Geography with Luigimingo, we are looking at the complex distance between Perth and Fremantle. For further information, I'll be looking at different ways between the central business district of Perth and Fremantle only, and not other places in the metropolitan area such as Armadale, Rockingham, or Joondalup. As every Australian geographers know, Perth is renowned as the most isolated city in the world, where there are no major cities within a 2,100-kilometer radius. Yes, it's that empty. Within 2,100 kilometers, there's nothing but a bit of forest and red desert. Anyways, despite being the most isolated city, its metropolitan stretches from the town of Two Rocks all the way to Singleton, which is a surprising 108 kilometers if stretched on a straight line, and 120 kilometers by road, making it one of the longest metropolitan areas in the world. Anyways, on the southwest of Perth lies a major town called Fremantle, which is known for its port and is basically the Manhattan of Perth, except for the numerous piers that protrude off the island. Fremantle is basically known for being the largest submarine base during World War II and hosted the 1987 America's Cup sailing competition. Fremantle is one of the 6 major towns in the Perth metropolitan area alongside Armadale, Ellenbrook, Joondalup, Midland, Rockingham. And Fremantle serves as the main port city in the metropolitan area. For roads, there are a few different ways to get from Perth to Fremantle. To get to the shortest way at the cost of a longer time is through the Stirling Highway, which is known as the State Route 5. Instead of directly crossing the Swin River in the city, the road curves west before curving to the south, which goes through residential towns, shopping centres and fuel stations in between the two cities. Major suburbs that the highway goes through are Crawley, which houses the University of Western Australia, Claremont and Cottesloe, which is where the former Australian Prime Minister John Cronin once lived. The route of Stirling Highway, the length from Perth to Fremantle, takes just a bit over 30 minutes over the course of 19 kilometers. It might take even longer combined with the frequent traffic in the road and the massive amount of cars present on the highway. For those that prefer the fast route, avoid this road at all costs due to the occasional traffic that tends to stop you. Furthermore, Stirling Highway goes no more than 60 kilometers per hour, which is equivalent to 37.3 miles per hour. Otherwise, if you prefer the slow way, you are always welcome to pass by the university or the various shopping centers that are scattered across the highway. For the fast way, it definitely reduces the time taken, but costs some distance. Compared to going on to Stirling, which takes 19 kilometers, going through the freeway to either 3 exits will take 20 or more kilometers. When going the fast way, you'll notice the freeway that is headed south. When going to Fremantle, the freeway gives you 3 exits that lead you directly to Fremantle. which consists of Canning Highway, Leach Highway, and South Street, which are routes 6, 7, and 13, respectively. For those that are hardcore AC/DC fans, Canning Highway is also known as the Highway to Hell, due to a section in the highway that ascends up a hill fairly steeply and ends at an intersection which saw lots of fatal accidents over the years. Much like the Stirling Highway, Canning Highway goes entirely 60 kilometers per hour, while the other two roads, Leach Highway and South Street, go 70 km until it reduces to 60 upon nearing Fremantle. Generally, the fastest route according to Google Maps is to go through the Quinnan Freeway and also the Leach Highway, as the freeway speeds up at 100 km once it is out of the city. For those that prefer the fastest route or in a hurry, it is recommended to go through that route. However, it doesn't mean that the fastest way is free of traffic, since the freeway around the city center is notorious for mild to heavy traffic, and chances of easing once you reach Route 7 are arbitrary. With the use of public transport, there is an entire train line that is dedicated to connecting to Perth and Fremantle, which is known as the Fremantle Line. The length from the stations in Perth and Fremantle is 19 kilometers long and takes 31 minutes. Between 1979 and 1983, the train line was temporarily closed in favor of converting the railway into either a busway or a freeway. Luckily, the line was back in business in 1983 because then Premier Western Australia, Brian Burke, took over with his Labour Party when the state was previously under the Liberal Party by Charles Court. To get to the Fremantle line, you'll need to find platform 7 in the Perth station, and you are now on your way to Fremantle. On the way, you will see SciTech, a science educational institution just west of the city centre, and the showgrounds in Claremont, which hosts the annual Royal Show. The train in Fremantle goes at a maximum of 90 kilometers per hour and stops at 16 stations, including the Perth and Fremantle stations. Had the train from Perth to Fremantle not stop at the stations, going at its maximum speed of 90 kilometers per hour continuously, it would take 12 minutes and 40 seconds. While going on a straight line between Perth and Fremantle, which is physically impossible to get, you can see that the two cities are just 15 kilometers away as it passes through the Swan River and comes through northeast Fremantle at an angle approximately 222 degrees, not to mention that it slightly passes over the University of WA. In conclusion, there are various physically possible ways to get from Perth to Fremantle by your car or public transport. No matter where you get to between those two cities, it will always take you 20 kilometers and approximately 30 minutes. This is all for the first episode of Geography with Luigimingo, and I'll see you guys in another video. Good night.